Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Chapter 2 of our All Sabbat Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, Cradle of Caine. We hope you enjoy tonight's presentation. We will warn you, for those who are faint at heart, that tonight's episode contains talk of murder, talk of torture, the ever-burning fires of hell, and a lot of interpersonal drama and murderous thoughts. Please be warned. And before we begin, I would love my cast to introduce themselves.
My name is Serena, and I am playing as Adrestia, also known as Addie, to her pack. And I am the ex-sheriff of the Camarilla.
Should I call on people? I can do that.
I think that's the
This
best way
is
to do
easier.
it.
Okay. And Gabriel.
Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel, or Good and Chaotic. Tonight I'll be bringing to you Arthur Harris, friendly local Tremere and owner of King's Highway Books.
And Lily.
Hi, my name is Lily. You can find me at Lily the GM, and tonight I will be playing Evelyn, freshly awoken and new to all of this, finding her place.
And last but certainly not least, Prince.
Hey everybody, I'm Prince, aka Doubles and Dice around the internet. That's where you can find me. And I am playing Amari Aringo. Sabbat. Sexy.
All right, and I will be your storyteller for tonight. Nick, Francia, and we can find me at Nobleman Nick. And let's begin our vampire story. Little credits here and 2 seconds. Tonight is a new night, like any other night. Approximately the first night of being a pact after the four of you committed and took the Valdiri. You can already feel the blood magic and bonding at work as it works its way through your undead veins, binding you together on levels that are physical as well as mental. The arrival of the new pack is seen as a beautiful and heralding of a new beginning for the Sabbat. Something that will be surely remembered in the chronicles of history. But tonight you find yourselves at a location that is often regarded as less than glorious. Located in the deep end of South Philly, you find yourself on the edge of a place only known as FDR Park. Once named for the president, of course. And many people would not know because it's tucked away under the underpass. But FDR Park is also home to a very famous skate park, as it were. And tonight, that is where the four of you find yourselves. The last you left off, the kind of task given to you was to locate the four lords, as it were, of the Sabbat, currently in standing, and attempt to convince them to unify once more and bring everyone back into the fold. Javier would warn you that this is not an easy nor simple task. And with a chuckle, he would also tell you that not to show weakness, that you are in as very much as danger as you would being within the Camarilla or Anarch territories. And that if you are seen as weak, the Sabbat won't think twice of eating you and then committing diablerie. As you kind of look around, your first target, as it were, the person agreed upon, was to find Viper. Viper, as you know, is sort of known around the area, as you've been described, as a turncoat. Being able to turn those of the Camarilla and the Anarchs over to the side of the Sabbat. A programmer, as it were, of the brain kind. And as everyone gets to the meeting point, what's going through everyone's head?
I suppose for Amari, being named Ductus to him is a point of pride, even though it ultimately to the Sabbat it is relatively small position. But having a new member, he wants to show the right ways to do things. He's not scared or anything's going on, but he wants to make sure that the pack respects his position. Because if not, well, I'll know what happens to those people.
Of course. And Amari, as you come to this place that's definitely less than elegant, and you can feel the kind of gravel kind of crushed beneath your feet as you walk, you do see in the dark a variety of hooded figures that don't look like to be the normal youth that often take up refuge here. What about you, Arthur? When you arrive, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, how intriguing. How intriguing this is. I haven't been in a place such as this for a little while. It's been a while since I've been in the south of Kensington, for sure. But I'm feeling rather settled, confident, quietly confident. I have a task in mind. I have my group with me of new friends. How lovely. And I have left my good friend Quinn back at the shop to look after our customers for the evening, as I do not think his delicate ears need to hear our conversation. So he's got his sort of large coat on over the top of his quite nice outfit, and he's going to sort of stroll up to join Amari.
Third person to arrive, the ex-sheriff. You're not too amused with this whole scavenger hunt you've been put on, are you, Addie?
Not at all. But orders are orders, and this is just another job for me.
Another job, another task. And as you join the other two, you can see plastered across the skate park and just the entrances and the overpass, loads of graffiti and tags that seem to all mix together. And you can swear for just a moment that if you look hard enough, the drawings begin to move and almost speak to you.
Premier bullshit around here.
Perhaps.
And last, we have Evelyn. Evelyn, you didn't come here alone. Which of the other three did you hitch a ride with?
Whoever would have been closest to me. Evelyn isn't feeling too picky at the moment. She's more worried about feeling lost than anything else. But I do think that, like, as I've sort of arrived, this is much more my kind of scene than the other places I've been with these guys so far. And so I think it sort of immediately I feel a little bit more comfortable. And my eyes drift off towards all that graffiti and I just start to analyze it. Look for things that are familiar, people that I know that may have been here, that kind of thing. I'm definitely more interested in the art than I am the people.
And when you woke up this morning, or this night, it was sort of an awakening, as it were. It was a shock, because it's very easy to dismiss the first night of being a Canaanite as just a fever dream. But as you kind of come to, you realize that you still have that hunger for blood. You still have that want, that need, that compulsion to kill. And speaking of compulsions, I would like everyone here to give me a rouse check.
Yes.
Success.
Success.
Yes.
Oh.
All right, Adrestia, your hunger will move to 2 then. The inner beings of your beast kind of tapping at the gates of its cage, almost whimpering to be let out. But it's very easy to ignore right now. So coming on to the park, you do see, the rest of you see what Amari can see, the group of people kind of in like hoods. And this is not like medieval hoods. This is not obviously like a meeting of cult, but like they're all hoodied up, wearing all of them black. Can't really see much. It's dark. Not really. There's like one little small light source that's just kind of illuminating the park, but nothing too fancy. And the other thing is, when you enter, you know you'll be pretty much kind of boxed in the way that this park is laid out. Just because they're all sitting on all the edges and sides.
I would like to immediately scan the area and sort of he brings out pocket watch, checks the time, and I would like to use Sense the Unseen, please.
Of course.
Okay. Right. It is free, which is nice. And then Wits and Auspex.
Mm-hmm.
So let me find that for you.
My part of this is that I'm scanning for any signs of ambushes.
Okay, go ahead and give me Wits and Investigation.
Oof. One success.
1 success. All right. As you're kind of peering and looking around, you can't get quite an anchor on it, a dot, like a crosshair on it, as it were. But you can see that there definitely is something almost like shimmering, moving across the crowds of people, like another person that is hiding, ever moving, using the crowd as like a wave, like an ocean swimming through the current.
Just sort of lean into Amari and just nod at where in the crowd I've seen this. And just sort of very, very obviously visually keep track of it as it moves around.
Drestia, what did you get? I'm sorry.
I got a 4.
All right. As you're kind of looking around and seeing ambush, I mean, it doesn't seem like an ambush. No one else seems to be hiding. In terms of, say, you don't see that same shimmering effect that Arthur has. But you do note all your exits. You could probably make a clean break from here. But it almost would be like you would have to get past the defenders. It's not more of a we're going to be ambushed, as in the people are just already surrounding the area. So we'll be walking into a pretty intense situation if things go south. And then
that's when Amari activates awe.
Ooh. Okay. You threw up your awe. The rest of you can kind of feel that magnetism, as it were. For you, Evelyn, you felt it before, because Amari did the same trick the night before, and you can feel your eyes start to pull themselves towards Amari. And even as the rest of you get closer to the skate park, you hear a thud as all the hooded figures turn around at once in perfect union and synchronization to look directly at Amari.
And Amari looks at Addie and is like, this is messy. You know what to do.
I gotcha.
I'll walk into them.
And as you kind of walk in and get yourself situated, someone in a hooded figure, in like one of the hooded figures, kind of comes up, and they offer your hand, or offer their hand to you. They grab it roughly, almost like not like physically causing you pain, but kind of forcing it so they can get to your wrist, and they kind of put two fingers across the wrist, swiping it almost down the length of your forearm, as you can start to feel a bubbling as the symbol of Caine starts to raise from your skin just for a moment. The figure nods, and the lets go of you as the mark slowly begins to recede back into your skin.
Excellent. Where's Viper?
The priest, she will be speaking soon. Wait. And ushers you inside.
Where's the rest of the crew?
I'm going to be at the back of the group, and I'm gonna pop Sense the Unseen as well.
Okay, and so you and Arthur both can see this. As you're kind of getting in, you can see that everyone's sitting on like the kind of like curved ramps of the skate park, almost like they're watching something, like a concert, almost like pews, like a church service, as it were. And that image more so gets into your head as you see the shimmering, same thing, the shimmering of that Arthur scene. You see it kind of ride through the crowd before coalescing at the top of one of the ramps facing everyone. The darkness kind of pops into existence, and you see who you presume to be would be Viper. You see a woman in dark clothing that's a lot more flowing. There is cloth around her neck that almost seems to be a bastardization of the arraiments that priests would wear when they tell mass, those vestments. But they hang around, and they are tattered and soaked with stains of old blood. And you see Viper herself is, well, she's intimidating, to say the least. She looks at all of you, kind of eye scanning around with just hollow eyes. And the other congregation of her, you assume to be her mass, or maybe it's more like a cult, you're not entirely sure. They don't speak at all, they don't breathe, they do nothing. And as she speaks, you can feel her kind of black hair flowing. You can feel her own awe emerge, and Amari, it clashes against you. It is powerful. And when she speaks, her voice comes out in a resounding echo that seems like almost like the voice of God itself, where we're talking to you. You four who have come to join the congregation, to see the Mass, to hear the voice of Caine, and everyone around her goes, "The voice of Caine." We welcome you four, Sabbat, into our ranks. And she takes a step down, becoming level with you.
Greetings.
What brings you to our gathering today?
Heard that you've I'm doing some recruiting. Would you like your help?
My help? So you have not come to listen to the voice of Caine, but to make your own requests, your own good fortune and tithings.
This request comes from some a little bit more powerful than us. We are gathering those Sabbat that are in Philadelphia to regroup and become Fist of Caine as opposed to me.
I understand what you feel you must be doing, and I understand the importance of which you have unto your mission. However, you must understand that this is not the first time we have done this little goose chase, as it were, this dance, this, can I say, foolish idealism of uniting the Sabbat together, bringing everyone back into one big happy family. No, you see, it is because the ignorance of the Sabbat that has allowed them to fracture as so. To wrench this once great city from our grasp.
I believe that our strategies shall be different and much more well thought out. We've had time to lick our wounds. Think, ponder, strategize. We can be mindless monsters, absolutely. Doesn't mean we have to be.
She ponders it for a second, looking to the others. And what say them? Do you speak for all of them?
Well, for me personally, I am just a young man, relatively speaking. But when I came to this city, I saw something. Some potential that I hadn't seen elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Where else I have been around this country, I have not seen a collection of kindred more ready to take the next step into what must be done. I think there is purpose here, but I think it needs directing, and I think we need strong voices to be able to help us direct it. We are, by far, not the strongest voices in this city. Therefore, we are asking for the help of our kindred in Caine to support this new movement.
Yes, it does make sense. If your voice is not strong enough, you will find the strongest voice in all of Philadelphia. I speak with the voice of Caine itself, and I understand the blood that so runs thick through our veins. And I've seen the fractures, and I've seen this idea of unity that you so seek. But it is strange that you come to me, speaking of this time to be different, when you have a newborn amongst you. Merely just a babe fresh out of the womb.
I think you'll find she's stronger than she looks. And thoroughly worthy of the gift.
And hasn't that been the way of the Sabbat since the very beginning? That is how we amassed our strength, after all, with the newborns.
Arms outstretched, she looks to the rest of her congregation. My children, what say you? And kind of all at once, they say, Judge them beneath Caine's hammer. Why, of course. Yes. Your words, they ring beautifully. But I wonder if I wonder if we might not put them to the test. Let us see if you truly are Sabbat. Would that be amicable for the four of you?
I do still love a challenge.
Ductus, choose your champion, for they will be judged for the whole.
What is our trial?
And she kind of puts her hand to one of the sides of the congregation. Bring him out. And as the kind of congregation begins to part, you can see there is the of wood scraping across the ground as four of the kind of hooded figures bring forth what looks to be a cross. But very rudimentary, looking like two planks that have just kind of been mashed together, and depositing into the middle, the kind of most sunken part of the skate part. You can see on this cross there is a man, a Canaanite, who has been much like Jesus has been staked through the hands, both of them, as well as the feet, and an additional one through the chest. This Canaanite who has been forced into torpor and stripped naked and bound and staked onto this cross. You see this? This was one of the ivory tower. This was one who thought that they could deny their beast, could make a coterie. They thought they could intrude upon the lands that we so rightfully own and lord over. But he was not aware of the voice of Cain. He was not aware of that which spoke in his coterie's ear. And so they turned on him, one by one, to join the congregation. And so he has been brought forth to receive judgment from Cain itself. His punishment, the final death. Lucky for you, his downfall will be your road to salvation. Tell me, little one, as Viper gets closer to you, Evelyn, you could feel the effects of her awe kind of creeping in on you, and you're unable to look away. Have you met with fire yet?
You mean since or in general?
Since your rebirth, as it were.
No, I don't think so.
Do you know what fire does to our kind?
Does it do something different to the other kind?
Fire is truly one of our only weaknesses in the gifts that we have received to become greater than the ones we would call kind. We receive the original weakness from hell itself. They say that the fire is what beckons us back to where Cain was eternally cursed for. And so it nips at our skin and it burns, and is the only thing that can go through our otherwise a immortal being. But even the simplest spark of a match, and in doing so, you see Viper reach into her pocket, one of the robes, and bring it out, holding a lighter to your face, and flicks it on. And kind of as this fire comes through, even though it's not touching or anything, you feel this immense terror and fear starting to rise in the pit of your stomach. Even more so, uncontrollably. Definitely not on a normal sense, but more on a supernatural sense. You find it hard to remain composed. Do you understand it? From a little fame could cause so much fear. Imagine what a big one would do. And she unflicks the lighter, pushing it back into her pocket. And so, that will be our test today. The most noblest of Sabbat trials. The fire dance. Which one of you will dance around the fire and show me the control you have over your beast?
I look at the party. Wish to put the young one to the test.
I think perhaps we should. Evelyn, dear, how are you feeling about a lesson today?
If you mean the kind of lesson that involves that lighter, pretty bad, honestly.
Right. Yes.
It's better to temper that fear now than...
Have you all done this before?
You smile and you act like you do, but some of you may have not. Honestly, the only person here really remnant of a true Sabbat would be Amari. So, Amari would have been the only one that has most likely have done the fire dance.
And it was the worst experience of Mari's online.
It's a bad time.
Which is why he laughs.
Do I know that the Camarilla that's crucified right there?
You don't recognize him. He's probably a low-ranking official, no one important. Someone easy to be made an example of.
You'll be fine. He's no one.
Hi, Addie. Yeah, sorry. Not worried about him. Worried about me. Thank you. Have you done this before?
If you wish to stand in that instead, allow it.
Maybe perhaps a demonstration would be more sufficient.
Your demonstrations go.
You have to understand, Evelyn. I do love to set things on fire. And I can't have you running away in fear every single time I do that.
I'm not scared. I'm questioning whether or not this is just a fucking hazing. I'm asking if you guys have done this before.
It is a hazing. And if you back down, our pack will look weak.
Not only that, if you back down, I don't think I even recognize you as a pack. And at that point, you become intruders upon our domain. And well, my followers are feeling quite parched.
Something about that interjection from Viper that pisses me off. I immediately sort of straighten myself up and look over my shoulder towards her, because I was not talking to her. I was talking to my pack, and I don't recognize her authority yet. And I just narrow my eyes at her and activate Daunt and say, I'm not scared. I'm trying to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Do you mind?
Oh, yes, she's ready.
And as you kind of say that, Viper doesn't really respond, but you see several other kind of hooded figures come out, and they begin dumping what looks like they have the red kind of gas canisters, and they begin dousing the Camarilla that is staked to the cross.
Well, now, you see, another interesting point here, Evelyn. You see how the stake protrudes from the center of the man's chest?
Uh-huh.
Usually, when that happens, that simply incapacitates one of us, you see. It will simply render you immobile and unable to speak. You will still be able to sort of sense everything that's going on, but depending on how beaten up this fella is, he could actually be in torpor, which means he won't be able to feel a thing. Just like an interesting little tidbit for you there.
Huh. So,
He probably
why?
wouldn't admit knowing these.
Yeah, I mean, she's making a point, right? So I guess he must have to feel something?
Potentially.
Fine. Hang on.
Got this.
You
Where'd
have
it go?
got this. Oh, you'll be fine.
Of course, she'll be alright.
Well, I mean, I'm alright, or I'm... Yeah, I'll be fine. Okay, fine. What am I doing?
Viper would beckon you over to the center of the skate park.
I walk over, slowly, huffing, rolling my sleeves up and checking my nails and hair. I don't want anything to get singed.
You are a fierce one. Hopefully that ferocity keeps with control.
I lean into Amari and I say, $10, bet she lives.
Go on.
I'm gonna sit in one corner.
You must... The prerequisites of the fire dance and completing such. You must stand within the fire, not within it, within its light and sight, walking around it, close to it, and she begins to kind of in the dirt and dust that's kind of settled on the concrete, draw like basically a temporary circle around it, giving you about like 5 to 10 feet around the area where the Camarilla is staked. Stand within its flame for 1 minute and keep yourself composed, and I will consider the ritual of the fire dance complete.
Okay, we better get on with it then, huh? And I shoot one look back over at my pack with a kind of, I can do this. This isn't even a challenge, but it's probably obvious to them at least that there's a little bit of fear sat in the back of my eyes here.
And
He
as
jumps through the flames as Amari leans over to Addie. It's like, this is easier in some ways. She is young.
She needs the experience.
You need to be careful about setting things on fire.
Viper looks over and goes up to Evelyn, grabbing your hand, and she puts something in it. She puts the Zippo lighter that she had before. The one who dances is the one that commences. And in doing so, she reaches down and with just mighty strength pulls up the stake out of the man's chest. And he opens his eyes with a mouth with a gasp. And just struggles but can't. And where am I? Where? And looking around, the terror and the fear. Oh my god! Oh my god! Please let me out. And he looks to you. I'll do anything. I swear. I'll tell you anything you want. And oh my, what's on me? Is this gas? Please don't do this. Please let me go.
I look up at him and just let him blather for a moment, and then look back at the pack for a little bit of reassurance. And there's something about their amusement that eggs me on enough. And I look straight back at him and open my hand to show the lighter.
No. I can tell you things that would be useful. I will swear a bond of I will owe you many favors. Please do not do this. Please. And a viper kind of looks to the crowd, and the crowd begins to chant, singing in Latin, as it were, and the kind of crescendo begins to start building.
I take one slow and measured step towards him and position the lighter between my finger and thumb.
I'm Barnabas. See, now that you know my name, I'm just not a nameless face. I'm a person. I'm a somebody. You'll be murdering someone. I know this. You're new to this. You don't understand this. You don't.
What makes you think I'm new to this, little man?
They are a stain, and they will stain your soul, and you will become something more often than you weren't before. Don't do this. Trust me, this is not the path for you, little one. This is not the path. Now let me fucking go.
But the whole aim of this was to become something I wasn't. And I click the lighter.
Don't do it. And Viper is looking amused as shit, and is kind of like also close to the man, just watching.
See, the thing is, if I am new to this, if I am little one, as you put it, what on earth could you have to say that I'd care about? You don't have to convince me, but I'm the one with the lighter. You see the problem? And I take another step towards him.
Fucking. You don't know. They're going to. It's okay. I might burn today, but they are going to eat you from the inside out. You will be forced to live amongst the other souls and watch. You will be an eternal nightmare. When my people come down and hear what they have done to me, they will bring an unholy hellfire. I swear the architect stamped you out once, and he will not settle for stragglers.
And when he gets here, I will have risen from your ashes, brighter, shinier, and scarier than anything your precious architect could possibly imagine. And I throw the lighter at him.
And it kind of goes in slow motion as the Zippo light hits him, and just in this beautiful eruption of flame just begins to undertake his whole body, the soaked gasoline of the wood, and just produce this burning man, this pyre as it were, and the man screams in an unholy screech. And it pierces all of your ears, and it sounds out, and Viper begins to laugh, and the chanting continues, and she looks towards the flame, and you can feel every sense of your being tell you to get the hell out of here, to leave, to give in to that inner beast. And you can feel the beast in your own soul, in your own stomach and heart tell you, we need to leave now, we need to leave now, we need to leave now. And it's just hammering on its cage over and over again. And please, can you give me a willpower roll to resist frenzy? As Viper says, let the dance begin.
While this is happening, Amari pops his eyes at the beast just to like take it all in.
Oh yeah,
Fangs
and
pop out. He's just loving this.
and the three of you know that if you were to take a couple steps forward, you would definitely have to make frenzy roll as well.
3 successes.
Awesome, that beats the 2 successes needed. As you're able to keep to yourself for a few moments as you begin to slowly walk around the circle as is required by you. And Viper watches, and you can feel as the beast is hammering at its cage, you are just smothering it. You're putting a blanket and you're ignoring it. And you watch as the man's skin bubbles and tears as parts of him begin to erode away, and he is still screaming in that pain, his body taking the aggravation of the fire as it tears across him. Evelyn, how does this make you feel?
It's a mixture. The first feeling, honestly, is triumph. I haven't lost control yet, and I'm not going to start in front of an audience. But there is a little bit of fear behind that. What I'm watching isn't like the kind of burning I remember. It's something a little stronger than before, and I'm starting to think that maybe Viper's words weren't just designed to scare me, that possibly she was telling the truth. That's a bit alarming. But I remember the warnings of my pack from before, and I remind myself that I don't have the time to show that fear now. So I set my shoulders and carry on walking. I keep it at a gentle pace, and I try to just sort of observe casually, occasionally looking back over to the crowd, trying to make it clear that this is no big thing.
Do you hear that? Viper says to the crowd. That's the sound of our forefather. The screaming and the silence. That's what we need. Oh, that is beautiful. It's music to my ears. Caine judges you. And you temper your will, your strength, but still, does the fire, does it not call to you? And as you do so, she says that the flames begin to build up even higher as they finally finish covering this man completely. As you can see, muscles start to kind of fade away, exposing bone onto his skin. Give me one more willpower check, please.
Five successes.
Awesome. And not only that, that's because that is how much of an exceptional success that is. I won't even require it for the rest of the scene, as you stand there and kind of walking around. Your eyes never leave this man, this being like you, until you see the last bit of him, the last bit of his bone and muscle begin to disintegrate into ash before
Mark
you.
gives Arthur that 10, just passes it over.
And more than a minute passes, several minutes pass indeed, actually, before all that's left is a hunk of ash where that person once was. And Viper just looks incredibly impressed. Well done, young one. You have completed the fire dance, and dipping her hands into the ashes, she rubs a bit on her finger, and she anoints you, basically almost doing like a sign of the cross on your forehead, like it was like Ash Wednesday or some shit like that. Like,
And hopefully you can start calling me Evelyn rather than Young One.
trust me when I say Evelyn is, or Young One is, one of the better names. And she looks over to Amari. Do you remember what they used to call you when you were in training?
Shovelhead.
Yes, we also had an ass face. And that guy over there. And sometimes you didn't even get a name. Sometimes your name was just 24.
I also was a big fan of meat because that was what many of us were.
I'll call you by your name when you can prove you're more than just a passing addition to our ranks. But praise must be given where praise is due. And as she kind of drops the all in the loud voice, I recognize the Valderi. I recognize your pack. So we can now discuss this more. Your idea is to bring others, unify as a whole. Who else are you seeking?
I believe our next port of call is Dimitri Lovelace.
Her eyes narrow. That man. That zealot of a creature. He would be better off getting us all killed if it meant leveling the Camarilla to the ground.
No, you know what they say about family. Don't necessarily have to like them. The others we are looking for are Simon and Angelica.
Ah, Valkazar. A strong man. His intensity and his fervor into furthering the cause is well liked, that him and his Night Division. I dare say it'll be a challenge to get him to agree to anything, but if you do, well, it'll be an interesting congregation. Angelica, you won't be able to find her easily. She likes to, as being the bishop, she doesn't stand at the forefront like she should. She likes to hide in that hole of hers, wherever it may be, with the rest of the rats. In turn, getting us all to agree with one another is pretty much an impossible task. However, there is one path, one way you can unify everything.
And that is.
When Olga Iscariot was our archbishop, everyone answered to them. There was no hesitation. The ultimate authority in this city was recognized. And with it, they were able to wrap the prince deacon of that point through fake, false titles that those Camarilla bastards seemed to put on themselves. But it was our greatest moment. And of course it was with their death and our loss of the archbishop that saw our initial downfall. If you want the congregation to unify, if you want the Sabbat to become truly what they are, you must find a new archbishop and hold an election. And it must be put from across a higher ranking member of the Sabbat, whether it be an existing bishop or one of the other Sabbat Lords. I dare say I can already put forth what you would want, ideas of what you might think, who you might think would be a good archbishop, but please consider how important this would be. Not that we would be able to do so anyway, because as it turns, her traditions, the only way to elect a new archbishop is to ritualistically swear them in on a page from the Book of Nod. Young one, do you know about the book? And she looks to the three of you, kind of like visibly pissed. You elect a new member into your pact, and you do not even teach her the history, the importance.
She was just turned literally a night ago.
In the times when I was turned, we were locked into holes until we could recite that book word by word.
And how many nights were you locked in that hole?
Too many to count.
Literally a
believe-
night ago.
Times have changed. We have to move faster than we used to.
Well,
Notice
anyway.
that you've been recruiting members of the Ivory Tower, which means you are aware of this.
Of course. Although the way I recruit is a little bit differently. I've eschewed the idea of digging them into graves and letting them fend for themselves and done more of my own way. Now, you'll still need pages from that book in order to swear in a new archbishop. And, well, the book has been lost for many, many years. Many decades. But I'm sure that maybe a page or so still exists in the city somewhere. Who will you talk to next?
I think we mentioned Dimitri.
Well, good luck with you. And when you are able to bring the other three on board and find that page, then I'll help convene everyone myself.
Thank you.
Of course, and Evelyn, you stand strong. There's still much you could be learning. You could, and I don't make this offer lightly, join my congregation.
I definitely have a lot to learn about what all this is about. So, yeah, I think I'll come back some night.
Of course. And when you do so, we'll be ready. Now go, before the night gets too old. And someone clean this mess up as people begin to rush over and collect the ashes.
Walk out.
Yeah.
I sort of follow and like trying not to race too much, but I definitely am like scampering to catch up with the rest.
I'm taking the last spot, so. And giving one last look at this woman. Committing it to memory.
And I drop awe and I look up at Evelyn and I'm like, masterfully done.
Didn't do too bad for a hazing, huh?
Our hazing trials can be much, much worse than fire.
Just can be or will be. Just, I'd like to steady myself a little if that's just the start of all of this.
Expect that it will be the first of many. We still have 3 more to go.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, nailed that one. I'm sure I'll nail the next one.
You will be tested a lot. You are the youngest, and they will smell that on you.
Smell it? Oh. Yeah, you do smell mustier than me, you're right.
I'm sure that's just the skate park, Amari.
Let us go find this zealot.
Yes, what fun. What fun. I do actually have some contacts I could possibly pull on regarding finding that page, which could put us in good stead, at least find some leads.
Storyteller, would it be possible for myself or Addie to have a copy of the Book of Knot?
As far as, because there's definitely are copies of them, but from what it infers, what Viper is saying, that you need a page from the original.
The original? Fair enough. The reason I was asking was less for the page and more to give to Evelyn.
Oh yeah, you could definitely educate Evelyn in the Book of Nod. I mean, and show her the many copies that have, been made over the years.
Okay.
It's a lot of doom and gloom, though.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
All right, so before you head over to Dimitri, where, funny enough, out of everyone that took you to find, this is the only one that Javier knew where to go. And he told you that where Dimitri would be located is actually at the original headquarters spot of the Sabbat, because Dimitri is what you consider actually in line more of the mainstay Sabbat than it is one of these offshoots like Viper or Balcazar are. And Dimitri will be found at the Basilica, the cathedral, well within, deep into Center City. Now, before you go off there, is there anything else you would like to do? Any other avenues you would like to explore?
I would like to see Evelyn actually hunt.
No more hazing.
This is less hazing and more action. You take down and kill.
I guess the last hunt was kind of easy.
Yeah. We baked you a birthday cake.
Good way to put it.
Okay. What would you recommend I try?
Do what feels right. I mean, my way is specific to me. Let's put it like that.
All right. Where will you take her to hunt?
I'm probably thinking somewhere on the subway. I think that'd be great. You can catch somebody on the subway tunnels.
Okay.
On a train, especially late at night. It's quiet.
Awesome. No, definitely, for sure. Yeah, go ahead and so you're gonna just head probably to the nearest subway station, which would probably be get off at like Broad and Pattison, and get on the station there. It's very late at night, getting in about 1 a.m. by the time you all get done with everything in the skate park. And kind of as you're going on, just to you do see a variety of people, mainly like homeless and drunk partygoers that are looking to get their way back. It's one of the last subway trains until the morning.
First car always has the homeless.
As you go into the first car, there are 2 people here. Someone who looks to be more of a drunk businessman. Sloppy, untucked clothing, strong smell of just bourbon kind of reeking through the wing. And towards the other end, you see a homeless gentleman who is smelling not necessarily of bourbon, but of just the city streets, packed in a heavy coat with various shopping bags around him.
I'm going to look between the two, and then sort of turn back to Amari and just hiss out very quietly, "I liked the birthday cake better," and then turn back to the carriage. I think what's going through my mind right now is the person doesn't matter so much as the circumstance, and I know these streets pretty well. So if I know what stop they're getting off at, that might give me a better idea of whether I can corner them. I'm not strong, but I don't need to be if I catch them off guard.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use my knowledge of streetwise to figure out where I can best get the jump on one of them.
Awesome. Go ahead and give me intelligence plus streetwise, please.
Evelyn doesn't mess around. 5 successes.
Okay, so for the homeless guy, you know that they tend to just ride these stations all the way to the end and back for like shelter and warmth. So he would be getting off the last stop, which would definitely give him about like almost an hour of travel, about going all the way to the last stop would be the Fern Rock station. And then the businessman, from what he looks like and what he goes, and just coming from the bar there, you have the feeling that he probably is someone that lives more in like the kind of northeast of Philly, probably, or even like the west. So most likely he'll get off at City Hall and take one of the other trains there and kind of converge on there. And as you go through each stop, you're going through tunnels, and it is pretty dark, to the point where the subway lights aren't really completely on. So you do have areas of just almost complete darkness.
Which one will you pick?
They both smell bad in different ways.
You can get drunk if you feed on the drunk person.
That's a thing?
And that's the only way you can feel anything these days.
Does it count as Dutch courage? Because if I've got some other stuff that we're going to need to be doing later, maybe I take a drink now and I'll feel better about it.
Sure.
Let's go.
Oh, that doesn't sound convincing. I take a moment and think, and the big thing here is that I'm not actually hungry, but it felt good last time. And something about the kind of trial with the fire has left me feeling a little bit cocky, and I think maybe I'm not done feeling powerful just yet. And I wait until we hit the next stop and that businessman steps off, and I say nothing as I follow him off.
He stumbles through, and you can hear him muttering about like, "I need to get home. I can't lose my phone. Fuck. Why won't my girlfriend pick up?" And just mashing his like big like fingers across the phone, trying to get it working. And he's just too drunk to function right now. As you see, he's simultaneously he's checking the time. He's on Facebook. Another tab shows he's on Amazon. He's swiping through Tinder for some reason. You're not sure. It's the late night malaise that generally people go through when they're having one of their rougher nights.
Another person who doesn't really know where they are or what they're doing. It's tedious, but it is perfect. Looking at the state of him, I reckon I just have to wait until the right opening, and I could probably give him a shove hard enough that he'd fall over somewhere. I can have a quick drink and help him up.
Exactly. And as you kind of follow him up the stairs into the kind of main transportation, the train system, subway system, the tunnels, as it were, of City Hall. Because for those at home that don't know, there is a huge, underneath City Hall is a huge tunnel system that leads to many different stops and departure points. And often these tunnels are brightly lit, but sometimes lights fail and they're dimly and dark. But you do feel alone. He doesn't even hear you, just walking behind him slowly.
I wait for the next time he looks down at his phone and just very quickly just stick a foot in his way, let him trip.
Yeah, and that only takes about 20 seconds because, as anyone can tell you, when you're walking alone, you tend to just look at your phone a lot. And he stumbles very easily, his pants slightly ripping as he comes to the ground, his knee hitting it hard as you hear him go, fuck! And his phone bouncing off against the concrete, landing face down. He goes, no, 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 and he grabs the phone and looks, he's like, oh, god damn it. I gotta take this back to the Apple Store. I just got this fixed. Oh, what do I do?
I stoop down to grab the phone and go, just sort of, some rotten luck.
What? And he kind of like turns. Who are you? Let's get. I need to go. I need to get home. And he's like trying to push himself up.
I'm gonna pop ore up and then help him.
Oh,
Just smile, let it radiate.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. And he kind of gives you like a half-cocked smile. I should be getting home.
Mm-hmm. You want to be going that way? I just hazard a guess and point in a direction.
Yes, yeah, I gotta go that way. I gotta get home, and yeah. Oh, my girlfriend's gonna be pissed. But fuck it. I gotta get home. I've been drinking too much.
Yeah.
Play with their food. He whispers to the rest of the group.
Are you just behind a corner, like looking over Scooby-Doo style?
Yeah, we're hanging back 100%. Like,
I know he's not paying attention, so we're hanging back a distance and just kind of watching this happen.
yeah. Just timing the whole thing. It's like, well, she spent 4 minutes torturing that man earlier, so it stands to reason that she's the type.
Young ones these days.
I kind of amuse myself a little with a small amount of small talk as we're heading away, but I get bored pretty quickly. I didn't get into this to be making friends. I'm not interested in hearing about his life. The next opportunity I get that I don't think we're being watched in any capacity, somewhere dark, the next time the lights go out, the next time it's just us, I'm just going to drink.
And you get that moment a couple minutes later when you kind of get to a staircase. You're able to easily push him under it and just go to town. Somebody goes like, he's like, miss, I hardly know. And then you just sink in. Are you just biting the first place you can get, or?
Yeah. I mean, given the push, I imagine that he may have raised a hand to defend himself, and I would be quite happy biting his wrist if that's what comes at me first, but whatever I can get my teeth into.
Yeah, you definitely get his hand, your fangs into his arm and wrist, and he stumbles back, and he is free to drink from. Now, you have one hunger, so you're in an interesting position. So, you're not deathly hungry, but you always feel that hunger. You always will until you slate it down to 0. Now, that being said, the only way to slate your hunger down to 0 would be to completely drain this man and kill him. So, are you just taking a little bit of a nibble, a little bit of a doesn't really do much for mechanically bite, or are you fully intending to murder this man?
Right now, this is kind of more about making a point to my pack. I feel like I was kind of challenged earlier,
Mhm.
and I'm not interested in failing that challenge. So this is more about proving that I can do this than getting anything out of it.
So you're going to drain him completely.
No, I don't think I am.
Oh, okay. All right. Just showing that you can hunt. I got you.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, you take a nice drink. It feels nice. It tastes good. It's very alcoholic. It's like drinking, and this guy, whatever he's having, is pretty good, top shelf. So he's a businessman. Seems like he had some money, and it's quite enjoyable. It's definitely and something higher grade than you've ever had to really drink before. And you can feel the kind of blood rushing down your throat as you take nice, big, messy gulps. You haven't gotten this down to a skill sport just yet, so you do get blood around your mouth and kind of onto your neck and all that, but it's very less messier than the neck for sure. Maybe not as of a great point, but still enjoyable. And when you do kind of separate and leave, he just lulls to sleep almost under the
You
stairs.
didn't finish him? Oh, I'll take care of it. And then Amari just goes over there, grabs him, drains him the rest of the way, throws his body on the tracks.
Yeah, and just like that, it's just boom. Amari, what's your humanity?
My humanity is 6.
Okay. Cool. All right, just checking. Yeah, you've done this quite as well as you just drain this dude completely. I would say you get a stain and you have a remorse, but you're a true Sabbat, so you don't have that. To be perfectly honest, you don't even really have humanity anymore. It's just kind of lowly tracked at that, and you watch as Evelyn, you watch as Amari just takes the last few gulps remaining and just deposits his body. It'll be a tragedy for the next train that comes through, but whatever. Shit happens all the time in the city.
That's the way to do it.
This time I made you a cake. You're welcome.
And you exit the subway system off of City Hall, which is very like about a 20-minute walk from where you need to be. And I think we'll end the scene there and catch up with our Canaanites in just a moment. The walk over to the Basilica it's a calming one. Evelyn, you're able to get cleaned up, hopefully discarding the rags and cloths that are covered in the gentleman's blood, depositing them into a nearby trash can where no one will know until the morning news tomorrow when a body is found on the tracks, if any. The city at night is beautiful, and the Philadelphia is a place that rarely sleeps. With a lot of 24-hour shops open, people walking, people watching, people staring out from their small apartments, looking at the city below and just the amount of cars that seem to dot the road. And for a second, you might even think that they're just like you, eternal night walkers for the rest of their days. Coming onto the Basilica it's a grand experience for any of you kindred who have not been here before. It is a large cathedral-like church which towers in the surrounding area. There's a park right by there, and there's definitely an amount of visitors. Its large ornate doors kind of led up by the stone staircase, locked currently, but you can see above in one of the main areas there is a small window that seems to have been pushed open to allow air to circulate. and that will be your way in. Well, one of you will have to climb.
I think I'll just look at Addie like,
I'm going to just give a long look at Amari as I'm heading towards the window before I jump up.
All right, give me a dexterity plus athletics, please.
Excellent athletics. That's a 3.
Awesome. You're very easily able to kind of pitch your way through the window. Kind of like with cat-like graces, you land within the kind of main waiting area of the cathedral, looking at the kind of threshold with the kind of stained glass doors, and you kind of remember an old adage of old verbal proverb, as it were, about evil things such as yourself not being able to cross the threshold into God's house. And for a second, you wonder if you'll just burn up if you attempt to enter there, but you shirk that away as you're able to unlock the main doors, letting the others in.
Walk on in. Gosh, beautiful architecture, isn't it?
Yes, and the cold of the kind of marble around you and just the smell. You know when a place smells old when you open it up, and you can smell kind of the fragrance of the holy water.
Gonna go in and have a look around.
mm-hmm.
I think once again, second verse, same with the first, I'm going to cast Sense the Unseen and see if there's anything lurking.
Mm-hmm. And as you open up and step over the threshold, you immediately burst into flame. No, I'm joking.
Beams!
You think for a moment, but you open up into the grand kind of you see all the pews and leading up, and it's the cathedral is huge. There are about 100 plus rows of pews leading up to the front. Thousands of people could be sitting here at once, you imagine, although it's empty now when it's dark. You see the grand architecture and the paintings and the statues on the side, as well as the kind of raised, elevated altar part of the church. And as you kind of look with Sense the Unseen, you can see almost sitting like gargoyles up top the huge, almost 80-foot tall, kind of how big this room is. You can see little figures doting across, crouched, which seem to move ever so slightly when you stare at them hard enough.
I'll do the same as earlier. I'm checking for an ambush.
Those with Sense the Unseen, those gargoyles kind of the same way. You can see that they could definitely ambush you if they wanted to. But now that you know their position, you know to kind of keep your eyes above you at all times. There also is a gentleman sitting on the very first pew.
This looks like our new friend.
Yep.
Excellent. Oh, also, eyes up.
Evelyn, you would actually kind of note that these look a lot different than the kindred you're used to, as they almost seem to have, in the shadows, bat-like appearances.
Okay.
I'm
Kind
gonna
of keep closer pace to the others.
Yeah, I think Amari would just go and sit right next to this fellow who's sitting in here.
Yeah, it takes a while, and you're very obvious in walking up. There's no sneaking around this place. because like everything's marble, so every step is just like echoing. But
And Amari's definitely the type to wear the shoes that go click, click, click.
yeah, just does not give a damn. But it works out well, and kind of like as you go and you sit next to him, you see a gentleman that's kind of clean cut looking beard, very close to his face, hair slicked completely black, very pale skin, and just eyes behind like old fashioned glasses. Gives you a very much a like kind of a serial killer vibe to you, but you sit there and he doesn't look in your direction as you sit down, and he's not even surprised when you do, and goes, "They told me you were coming."
Of course. Sorry about the coming through the window, but business is business.
That's all right. Just remember to lock the door on your way out.
Of course. They told you we were coming. Do you know what we're here for?
No, they said that would be explained. And I don't do too much with my nights anymore.
And storyteller from knowledge of this tree might look like is him.
Oh yeah, this is Dimitri. To a key, this is the Templar as you know him by the official title.
Okay. Or, as they say, putting the band back together.
And so you came to talk to me. I'm sure I'm not the first.
Could have been, but not.
Well, I won't lie and tell you that I am wary of the others. I'm not against unification. The glory of the Sabbat is important to me. However, the Black Hand has quite many broken fingers. Those other people you would see have schemes and would seek to further their own personal gain before the Sword of Caine. And I do believe perhaps your task is a fool's errand. But admirable and such.
Believe this because we have not been at our best in a long time. Many of us are fighting again. Those of us who are left, well, opportunity knocks.
Of course. And I am not for one to simply say no. I must make sure that the people that claim to be the saviors of our group have metal to them. My job has been to subvert corruption from within, as well as weakening those that would call us enemy.
It'd be tempting to you to know that once we have gotten this
Real quick, pause that. I don't know what's going on with your microphone, Prince. I can just barely hear you for some reason.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're right. It was doing okay before, and then it just got really low, and I was like, what?
Let me see. 1 second. Check volume setting. This. Let's do this. All right, let's try that again. Where would you like me to come back in at?
We'll just come back into the last thing you just said.
Okay. Would it be tempting to you to know that once we get the crew back together, that we'll be nominating a new archbishop?
He looks not that concerned, but he definitely takes like a deep breath and considers kind of everything for a moment.
I would like to keep a very close eye on his face during this moment and just sort of very much keep a bead on what his micro expressions are when we tell him this.
Almost go ahead and give me a wits plus insight.
Okay.
Can I also do this?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that.
Oh, cool. 2 successes on 3 dice. Not terrible.
I got 5.
You could tell there's a hint of sadness behind his face, Arthur, as Amari brings up the idea of electing a new archbishop. And Adrestia, you can see that beneath even that sadness, there's almost like a twang of anger. It's been quite some time since talks of a new archbishop. It's very hard to fill Olga's spot.
I agree. But there's no way that we'll be able to sufficiently come together to congeal, if you will, without a new archbishop.
I do not believe it yet is the time, not in our fractured state as it were. And I'm sure you realize by now what you need in order to elect an archbishop. Am I to expect you already have a page?
One step at a time, my fellow Cainite. One step at a time.
He who holds the page holds an authority and the preference of the archbishop.
Indeed.
So be careful on who you relay that page to. But, unfortunately, if you are able to retrieve that and set into motion that which you have planned, I reluctantly agree.
What do you want from us?
If you are to be the forebringers of this organization, I must see you make an offering in the name of the Sabbat, blood staining the sword, as it were. I must see you accomplish something of this firsthand. I'll give you a task. Complete the task, and I will consider yourself proven to me.
And Amari looks over at Evelyn. See, we have another one. Told you.
Bear in mind the task will bring you into contact with one, if not our greatest enemy.
Every day's a school day.
Tell me, you know of the old penitentiary?
Oh, yes.
Once it was held as a place of gathering for some of this cities and states' worst criminals, and eventually turned into an amusement park.
It's a clown show now.
However, there are secrets in the penitentiary that still lie hidden. Of course, it's deep within Camarilla territory, and thus protected by them. In the darkest chamber of the prison, hidden among the secrets of the damned, guarded by Camarilla and Caine alike, there's an object. A coin. It comes from an era vastly different from ours, and is imbued with properties that would be most prudent for me.
Oh?
Go into the Eastern State Penitentiary, retrieve this coin, and bring it back to me. Not only will you have pleased me, but you will have struck a blow against the Camarilla. I will consider your status solidified, and I will put in trust and in confidence to this plan of yours.
This seems reasonable.
However, don't you dare come back here without that coin. If you are, you're nothing more than a failure. And a failure, well, the only place they are allowed to be is in the ground.
And Amari reaches over and pats him on the back. Don't you worry. Me and the newbie, my fellow friends here, can easily handle a task such as this.
Of course, the more bodies you leave behind, the better.
Reasonable.
Question. Do you know if there'll be kindred there?
Of course,
Kindred.
the bastardization. They don't want to be known by their true name. The young one, as he looks over to you, Evelyn, do not let them call you kindred. Do not let them call you brother or sister. Only let them call you by your name as a Canaanite. For that is your forefather. And that is the only father we recognize, the only authority above our own.
Understood.
And if you're able to pass this, I may have more tasks for you if you would be amicable to the idea.
Those will require payment, of course.
I have not one of understanding the system of barter, Amari.
Don't worry. I'll put you on game.
This will be very different from that boat of yours. It will not be easy.
You have no idea what happens on my boat, do you?
I hear whispers and rumors.
Oh, but the truth is so much more terrifying.
He continues to stare ahead and goes, "At this point, then, I believe our business has been concluded."
Yes, absolutely.
Who will you speak to next?
Are you just passing along messages?
Consider it
that,
curiosity.
That Simon fellow.
Do you even know where to find Valkazar?
Absolutely not. But I generally follow the trail of blood with ones like him.
As an additional favor, if you manage to complete your task, I can set you up, not with Valkazar, but you must be looking for our bishop, of course. Angelica.
Of course.
I will arrange a meeting if you are successful. And only if.
How kind.
There is no kindness in the Sabbat.
There's no ifs either.
Mm-hmm.
Only duty.
You see, we're prepared.
You're overconfident. That is what you are.
You don't live this long and not have confidence.
And he sits there in silence, probably until you start to leave.
Yeah, I just stand up after that comment.
And on the halfway out, he will call out to you, his voice echoing down the church. Tell me, do you believe in ghosts?
There it is. You might be my new favorite person. I'm gonna keep walking.
Well, you should. And that's the last thing you hear as you exit the cathedral.
Would I potentially know of this coin?
Yeah, go ahead and roll me an intelligence plus occult.
Please, may I also
Can-
make this roll?
Of course.
Same.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Intelligence and occult.
Everyone make the roll.
Oh, storyteller. Please,
I am
may
going to arouse intelligence.
please may I also use my specialism in artifact identification.
Of course, this is perfect. You have an
Yay.
additional dot. And then you're gonna rouse for the blood for intelligence.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like my birthday. It isn't like my birthday. I am wrong. I'm incorrect. I'm gonna pop a willpower to re-roll some of those
Okay.
bad boys.
Oh no.
It was not
Aroused
good.
to int as well. Yeah, that is a success. They'll
Okay.
get hungrier.
Success as well.
1, 2,
Ah.
3. No, dice, come back.
And I get a 4.
All right, 4
4
successes.
dice.
I got 4 success.
3.
Amari.
I'm rolling right now. Five successes.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
So for 3 levels of intelligence. So I'll start with Arthur. Arthur, you know the coin. Most likely, he's talking about. It could be a handful of ones because coins tend to, depending on what history, have different effects and value to it. You have heard echoes of a thing called the Coin of Carthage. Coming back from that area as such, and apparently it is supposed to have some sort of magical property to them, but you're not entirely sure. Just because, Carthage itself is something that was very much exposed to the dealings of the Canaanites and Caine. And funny enough, it is a very valued artifact by the Bruja.
I wonder why.
I wonder why indeed. Addressed to you. From thinking about the coin as well, you would gain that previous information. Plus, you would know that apparently that some of the coins, specifically, can be traced back to antediluvians. And some would say even some of their essence is still on it. But now, only Amari would know that the coins are more symbolic than anything. And that they are actually not necessarily imbued with magic and kind of just useless and there for show. And kind of Dimitri sending you on this is more of a shit show and probably has a second meaning to it. And you're probably going into danger for no real huge benefit. But whether or not you tell this to the rest of the pack is up to you.
Oh, I do. I do, just to let them know that this was all the game that we're playing,
It's
essentially.
a smoke show, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
Would I potentially know how much at least the guard rotation around this penitentiary is?
Being the sheriff, you know that the penitentiary it's dangerous for two reasons. I don't even want to make you roll. You'll just know. You know that the history of it, the Camarilla do guard it pretty well, because there is a nature of supernatural things that go on there. The second thing, the reason it's guarded and the reason it's kind of dangerous, more dangerous, is it is very much filled with ghosts.
The place is teeming with wraiths.
I might be able to help, depending on what I can get a hold of before we have our little sojourn here. I'm not unfamiliar with entities of this sort. I actually live with one, so they're never far from me.
You have some time to prepare.
Bad luck.
Oh, they're all right.
Ghosts can rip us apart. They're one of the few things that can actually just murder us like we do humans.
You can see them. Yes. I believe that a few of you can see them.
I can, certainly. If they're not hidden particularly well, or if they deign to show themselves, then, well, that's a different matter.
Well, there's two ways to go about this then. We can go back in there and do what we do. And Amari looks over at Addie. Or we could go and make a full-on show of it. We could make a mess to hurt the Camarilla and gain favor, and then still do what we do.
I'm not wrong. Both of those options are incredibly tempting, though. My one worry with going back in there, and as you put it, doing our thing, is of course the friends on the ceiling.
Oh, he has to leave eventually.
True. It would be advisable to go for the penitentiary, so we can also send a message to the Camarilla that they shouldn't relax just yet.
It'll be so much fun. Evelyn, you'll get to meet ghosts.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Never seen them, didn't ever believe in them. Actually a thing.
Actually, a thing. Yeah.
Right, cool. Keeps getting weirder, but all right.
Oh, there's weirder out there. This isn't even.
There's wizards and werewolves, and you should see some of the things that I'm able to create.
There's these weird people who wander out of gates sometimes through different like veils and things. It's just a whole shenanigan. Don't worry about it. We'll go through it another time. I have visual aids, but they're not here. They're at the shop. I did make a PowerPoint. Don't worry about it.
Okay, the one question I need to make sure I get answered then, if I presume it's in your PowerPoint, so we can talk about this later. But
Sure.
If they can tear us apart like we can do to people, is this a kind of we have to avoid them, or can we hurt them back?
Depending on how much time we have, I can prepare a little something which will defend us from their attacks. Now, I've not gotten in a full-on tangle with a wraith before, so I'm not entirely sure.
It is not
How one kills it back.
recommended.
Yeah.
Not unless you're part of the Hekata.
So, I mean, the obvious choice here then is we need enough time to make sure you have time to protect us, right? We can't just go storming in there.
Probably smart. Unless you want to charge in all guns blazing and whatever.
I'd rather
They're
not, like,
kindred in
storm in
there,
all
so-
guns blazing, hurt absolutely no one, and get torn up myself. That sounds like a bad idea.
If I remember correctly, they're not entirely immune to our supernatural attractions.
Oh, that's useful.
Can always throw the other kindreds, the Camarilla bastards at them.
Use the kindred there as bait. Is that what you mean?
Keep them busy of some sorts. Don't let us slip right through.
Addie, this seems like a job tailor fit for you.
Seems like that is gonna be the plan. I've personally only been there once.
There's also
Oh.
another thought that comes into your head. So you've kind of kept a secrecy to yourself, the four of you, as being part of the Sabbat. You haven't waved your flag around as, say, the Anarchs and the Camarilla have. In doing so, you will surely let the Camarilla know that the Sabbat are back on the map, and all the consequences therefore of it.
If we do this and piss off the Camarilla, it means that our lives will be infinitely harder. It'll be harder to blend in as they will be actively seeking us out.
So perhaps we have a couple of nights to prepare before we do this? After all, he didn't give us a deadline, which is awfully nice of him.
We don't really do deadlines because if you fail, you die. So
Yeah, it keeps you motivated sometimes.
That
the
itself is a
deadline
deadline.
is legitimately a
A deadline.
deadline.
Ah, I'm a fan of that.
Then you seem to have something to say.
No, I just... it feels like this is the kind of thing that we get done, and it gets a whole lot messier, and then we get blamed for it because we're the newbies on the block and we're acting out again, and I don't... Something feels off, you know? Spidey senses or whatever.
Spidey senses.
Yeah, Spidey senses. No? You guys didn't watch that?
I had a lot of time to keep up with the movies, unfortunately.
Okay,
Oh,
well, never
it's
mind.
like-
I mean, like,
no.
Sixth Sense type thing. Like, I just... it gives me the heebie-jeebies. Sets my skin on edge. Hair standing up. All that kind of... Yeah, but not really, because... I don't like it, is what I'm saying, and I'd rather do as much as we can to protect ourselves before we go charging in. I've only just been pulled into all of this, and I don't fancy it coming to an abrupt and sticky end at the hands of some fucker I don't know, you know?
Fair enough. Perhaps you'd rather go and visit the Ductus, Simon.
If we know where he is, it seems like that would be a good place to start. I mean, if we can get him on side, maybe he has something that could be helpful for us going into this situation. Why rush in unprepared if we've got other things we can do?
Finding Simon will be a little bit of a search. And you might need to talk to some people and hit the streets in order to find where the leader of the Night Division and his crew keep their place of business. So many thoughts go through your head and many ideas, but the night for now is coming to an end. So before the sun does rise and you enter into your sleep once more, what do each of you want to do?
I am on the boat, and what I've been having done is having people bring in bodies, and I have been creating a project, I'd say, flesh crafting in a room where people don't see. And well, let's just say I am building a work of art with multiple people becoming a part of it.
In the most grotesque way possible, of course. As you're settling and the bodies are being brought in, you've had to have some sort of almost like a contact on the inside. As you get there and you are informed by one of your men. I understand it's getting close to the sunrise, sir, but Officer Jenkins is here to see you.
Fine.
And you know Officer Jenkins as your one of the many cops that have kind of been on your payroll over the years. And when a cadaver needs to go missing from the coroner's office or the lockup, he's the one to talk to.
Yep.
He's waiting for you in one of your meeting rooms, already drink in hand, looking a little bit worse for the wear today.
Jenkins, look like shit.
And you look like, well, you look like you.
What can I do for you? Or what can you do for me?
Well, if this continues, not too much anymore. I have a lot of And his kind of hands are shaking. I'm getting a lot of heat at the station. Moving these bodies is a little more taxing than I thought, and well, there's this they got this, Eternal Affairs looking around, trying to see why certain things, like certain evidence and certain people, have been missing and not logged, and well, it's all very scary. But I mean, you've paid quite a hefty price for this, and you don't want your project to fail now, and well, I think it would be in both our interest if, I was able to get a little more pay for my trouble than, and possibly a little more, maybe some assistance in getting the heat off of me. Because if I get found out, I'm sure they'd be able to trace this back here.
Why would they be able to trace it back here? Who would you tell? And I creep closer to him as I say this.
I mean, and he kind of like stands his ground. I'm just saying they would wonder where the bodies were going, and it would...
And how would me paying you more money fix that?
Well, if I had more money, I could, possibly bribe a few people. You know how we work and everything, and I could make it so that maybe the Eternal Affairs would get off my ass. They're coming up with a new project now. They got these weird guys in suits that are visiting, and it's very, very it's odd for sure.
Right. I know exactly what to do. And I just reach in my pocket and I give him $2,000. And then I use Mesmerize.
And as you do so, you can see the kind of lights of his eyes disappear for a second. He's counting the money, and then he just stands there.
And I tell him that I want him to keep doing what he's doing, but I want him to find who's ever leading IA and send them to me. And I'll take care of them from there.
It takes a few seconds. He goes, so yeah, he's like, thank you, and I'll make sure to take care of that, sir.
Be gone.
And he looks and he takes it's just a moment to stop and examine one of your many paintings. A little dark in the subject matter, isn't it?
We all have our ideas of what beauty is.
Yeah, sure. And he leaves. And as you kind of turn on, the radio sounds throughout the yacht, the music, and the kind of the late night news and everything, you can't help but raise your eyebrow at the report that another house or apartment building has caught on fire which is like the third in the last month. Seems like someone's busy somewhere.
And yeah, I just look at it and I shake my head.
And I think we pull back from that scene, and Arthur, what are you doing?
Well, I have called a cab, heading back to my shop and step out, sort of dust my coat off, take a deep, unnecessary breath, sort of feeling the undead lungs inflate, and then head into my shop. Look around. Win!
Yes, sir.
Ah, there you
Arthur?
are. Fantastic. Hello. So walk in, close the door behind me.
You
All right.
day well?
Any news? Yep.
Night well?
Fine. Yes.
All right.
Absolutely. As per the norm. Yourself?
Pretty standard. Few people browsing in, mainly homeless people asking for change.
Any of our persons of interest today?
Nothing that I've seen on that route, although I'm starting to see more of that synthetic stuff resolving around here.
Really?
I think
Interesting.
I think we might have a lead on things, as it were.
Do tell.
Well, it seems like what's going on is they seem to be shuffling out whatever they're distributing amongst the homeless among the opioid crisis. You give these people money and they'll do anything. It's real fortunate.
Right. Anything more on the substance itself?
Haven't been able to get myself a clear look at it yet. If I could get a sample, we could do a lot of things. Maybe take it to a lab.
Quite. I think that's our next avenue of investigation. Speaking of which, things are once again getting interesting. My current pack have, well, we have ideas. However, this does mean that perhaps a relocation would be in order. I will need you to start sorting the preparations to move into the prepared location that we'll be dealing with next. We will no longer be in Kensington. We will be locating further south.
Oh, we're finally getting out of this shithole. I mean,
yes.
Of course.
Listen, it's been good for our research purposes, and that is the most important thing about these adventures, you know, Quinn. I've been telling you this over and over again. If we don't get the research, there's absolutely no point in us being here.
That actually, it actually helps out. We had someone that would want to talk to you today too.
Oh. Splendid.
Some sort of looks like he's interested in maybe buying the property.
A muck, you say?
Yeah, his name was I believe Mr. last name Owen.
Owen. Okay. All right. Well, did you get a number?
No, he just told Simon and said he would be back around soon.
No.
Very clean cut fellow.
Interesting. Okay. Well, did you get any more of a read on him, Quinn, or did you simply
I got no idea why he'd be buying property up here. I mean, unless the gentrification's finally coming through or whatnot. But it's a real clean cut guy. Wore a suit, looked really nice. Had a big old watch on.
Right, Quinn. You're both of your employers. Both of us. What about us gives us away?
I can't follow.
Usually, we don't care if we look a tad out of place. All right? And, you say this fellow looked clean cut, big watch, nice coat maybe?
Yeah. Real official.
Had time to build up resources, perhaps?
Perhaps maybe one of those trust funders.
Cool.
I mean, old cities
great.
get full of them.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, there are ways you can tell. How long have you been doing this, by the way? I reticent to ask. I don't usually care, but you've been with me long enough now. How long have you been in her employ before mine?
Oh, way longer than I would expect, to be honest. And I although the lady never really had me do too much more out of my control. I'm more of a bodyguard and a bookkeeper, as it were. I'm not really the person to get a read on things when I can here and there.
Right. Well, good show, old man. Now, if you could get a start on moving into that property, that would be great.
Yeah, of
take
course.
down books on Mr. Owen or whatever. Oh, and by the way, if you could start pulling on some of my familiar strings, we are in need of an artifact being found, and I would quite appreciate that. Yes.
Of course, another one for the collection.
Exactly, yes. You get the idea. We're looking for pages of book this time. How exciting is that?
Yeah. What book?
Oh, don't worry about it, some dusty old thing. Just if you pull on those necessary contacts, I'll make the arrangements.
Yes, of course.
Perfect.
Of course,
Thank
sir.
you, Quinn. You're an angel. Now, good day to you.
But does that mean we'll also be bringing? And he points to the back as you hear books flying across in the stockroom.
Probably.
Oh damn! I was hoping we'd leave this one behind.
I'm not sure we can, to be honest. You know when you step on gum sometimes and it just sort of sticks on the inside of your shoe for like a good few years, and you have to kind of get in there and scrape it off a little.
Yes.
This way, we may have to wait until we get a sufficiently sharp scraper offer. You know what I mean? Okay, well, good night. Good day. Whatever.
Good night, Arthur.
And he bimbles upstairs, and on his way by, he says, "Good show, old friend."
Are you sure you're okay?
Yes. Why?
Just seem a little more on edge, a little more panicky than usual tonight.
No, I'm absolutely fine. Just living the unlife, as they say. Well.
And he nods, and you go off to that sleepy place you call Wonderland.
Yep.
Whatever would you kindred dream of? Probably not electric sheep.
Probably not. Just lots of blood. Lots of blood.
And as you kind of lay down and and get ready for your rest, your mind starts to drift a bit as you think about like the infiltration, what you're gonna have to do in the penitentiary, and you wonder what would happen if Joseph was here, how he would approach things.
Indeed. You'd certainly find the best way in. I never knew the man to go in without doing his homework first.
Really, you haven't had a competent person like that, like a leader like that, in a very long time. Although, maybe someone who wouldn't just up and disappear would be for the best.
Yes. Whilst he was excellent at his job, a man who disregards his assets shows, well, little understanding in what value truly means. And to me, that belies the sign of an idiot. Truly disappointing.
Truly, truly disappointing. And that brings us to Addie. Adrestia, what do you do with the last remaining bit of your night?
Addie is on top of this old library, inside, rather, at the attic. This is her haven that nobody knows about. And she's just completely naked, showing her back to whoever would walk in the door, but looking out at the city through this big round window.
And you stare out into the city, and the lights of the skyscrapers and the cityscape itself reflect back into your eyes, looking like little stars amongst an ocean. And kind of like as you're looking out and your mind begins to drift again, as you can feel for a second you remember the fire that you saw earlier today, that Camaria who burned, and in it you see the own fire that you set, and you imagine like your haven going up in flames, the fire licking the side, and the screams of your sire. What emotion does that feel you? Does that feel of happiness, anger, sadness?
I feel happy. satisfied. And I'm looking forward to chasing that kind of feeling once again.
And somewhere in your apartment, there's a photo. A photo sitting in a frame that has been laid down so that you don't have to see anymore. A photo with you with a man and a young child. The frame is cracked and spider warped around. And the only thing left that it gives you is anguish, even knowing it's there, not even having to see it. But if you were to check under your door as you're preparing to take your sleep, you would receive a note. The note saying, "We need to talk soon." Signed, V.
I'm going to just light that on fire, making sure to throw it away from me as I do so before I just lay down. Taking a mental note to actually talk or put some time away for that.
And so we come on to our final Canaanite, Evelyn. As night begins to drift away and the sun rises merely an hour before, what do you do before the night ends?
I take a little bit of time to make small talk with the group that cluster at the bottom of my apartment before I go inside. But other than that, it's really about clearing up. Life's changed a little bit in the past couple of nights, and there are things lying around that just don't matter anymore. I spend a little bit of time doing things like emptying the bin for the last time and relishing that thought. Making sure the curtains are pulled tight, just in case day sleep catches me a little earlier than I think. And then I go to rest.
The fridge completely empty. Things tossed away. People who say they haven't seen you in a while, and that you'll probably never see some of these people ever again. The normal day goes, and life moves on, as it were. And the one question you might all have on your mind as you finally take rest is, who were truly the cursed ones here? And so ends this chapter of Cradle of Caine. Thank you everyone for watching our vampire story. I would like my cast to just tell you what you have all going on and let them know where they can find you. And we'll start. Well, we're gonna establish an order right now. Remember the order. We're gonna start with Lily.
Hi, I am Lily. You can find me as Lily the GM over on Twitter. I'm currently on hiatus, but will be hopefully coming back with other TTRPG projects soon. So I will let you know when they happen.
Prince.
Everybody, I'm Prince, aka Doubles and Dice around the internet. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all of that at Doubles and Dice. You can also catch some of my TTRPG projects, such as Vampire the Masquerade, Philly by Night, over on Rollin' D's 20s, 9 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. And we do Cyberpunk Red on Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time as well. More stuff on the to-do list, but keep an eye out on my Twitter for all the new information.
Awesome. And then Gabriel.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gabriel, or at Good and Chaotic, various hidey holes all around the internet. I am currently running stuff with Adventure Tavern, all very exciting. Specifically, tomorrow, our Vesson game, Dark Tide Rising Water, is having its debut episode. I am gonna lose my mind. I'm so excited. The cast they're so cool. They're honestly so cool. And they've put so much hard work into this, and I'm super glad to unleash them into this crazy world that both me and the lovely Lily have been working on for the past couple months. So come along, hang out, it's going to be a laugh. And other than that, bunch of other TTRPG products on the way, possibly one on DM's Guild regarding some fun little tradespeople editions that you can use in your home games, including one slightly cursed shadow puppeteer that may or may not be my favorite thing in the universe.
So then finally, Rena.
Hello, you are in my channel, so you know where to find me when I am live. But all my other streams are currently on hiatus, so it's probably on by the time this is on.
Whatever. We're not pre-recording. What are you talking about?
I
Fuck.
know. I have no idea what
Don't
you're
ruin the
talking
mysticism.
about.
It's live.
Anyway, just check me out on Twitter. I got more stuff coming, more vampire stuff. It'll be fun.
Awesome. And I was your storyteller tonight, Nick Francia. You can find me at Nobleman Nick, where I work for stuff for like Gehenna Gaming and stuff. And I have a lot of cool projects coming up soon, and you should enjoy it and have fun. And fucking, I love horror, and I love the script. All right, we'll see you next week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
All on me, armor over my heart, full of scars on me, globing